स्वीडन में काम हासिल करने के हवाले से ये बहुत ही अहम वीडियो आपकी खिदमत में पेश की जा रही है। इसमें यहाँ का जो एक दफ्तर रोज़गार है उनके जो इंचार्ज हैं उनसे इंटरव्यू किया जाएगा कि स्वीडन में जॉब किस तरह से मिल सकता है, जॉब मिलने के मुख्तलिफ़ मराहल क्या हैं, यहाँ पे मुख्तलिफ़ जो जॉब हैं उनकी क्या तनख्वाहें हैं और यहाँ के बाकी जो मसाइल किस तरह से हैं, इस हवाले से तफसीली इंटरव्यू है। ये इंटरव्यू इंग्लिश में है लेकिन इसका मैं आपको उर्दू में बाद में इसकी जो है वो तर्जमा भी पेश करूँगा, इसे ज़रूर देखिएगा। शुक्रिया। Today I am here at the employment office Gullsjobbet Bro Stockholm. So I will introduce Mr. Muslim Akil Ali. He is the in charge of the office. So we'll talk about the job situation in Sweden, which type of jobs are common, and if a student or any other person comes from other countries to Sweden and want to have a job, or even the people living in other countries and they are interested to move in Sweden, they wanted to have job. So how they can get the help from Gullsjobbet, or how the system in Sweden works, and what are the different salaries of different jobs. And at the end I will also summarize these things in Urdu so the people who can't understand English well, they can also understand. So thank you very much for your precious time. So it's a good opportunity for our viewers. They come to Sweden and they wanted to know the job market and what are the rules. So first of all, I'll ask you, so what is the Gullsjobbet? What is your organization?
Yes, so we are basically a private job agency that works in connection to the national job agency that is called Arbetsförmedlingen.
Okay.
So people who are out of a job and who have been for various periods of time, they are usually entitled to get help from a job coach, from a job agency, with the whole procedure when it comes to finding a job. Everything from help with the CV, personal letters, to contact with different companies, and just general tips on how to improve your process of searching for a job. So people ask their case officer in Arbetsförmedlingen to get help from a private company, and then they can choose the private company that they want help from.
Okay, so when this Gullsjobbet organization or company was established, because I think it's new, I didn't heard about.
There are different private job agencies, and we are one of the major ones, you can say. It is originally from Värmland, which is a state in Sweden, basically.
Okay. So it means you work with the Arbetsförmedlingen, the state employment office.
Yes.
So first the people will go to the Arbetsförmedlingen,
that is
and
correct.
they get registered there, and then Arbetsförmedlingen refer them to you, or they can come directly to you?
Most people, they can choose or everyone can choose basically which company they want help from. And there is a system of rating within Arbetsförmedlingen, so that they can choose between all types of companies that are connected to Arbetsförmedlingen. We are basically a provider for Arbetsförmedlingen, for the services when it comes to.
So how many Gullsjobbet offices in Sweden?
We are basically nationwide, and we have 25 offices at the moment that are outspread in almost all of Sweden. So we are in the major regions of Stockholm and Gothenburg and Malmö, and also in other major cities in Stockholm, in Sweden as well.
The people living in this greater Stockholm county. So
we have 5 offices in Stockholm.
You have 5 offices.
Yes.
Where?
And the offices are in Södertälje, in south of Stockholm. There is an office in Skärholmen. There is an office in Nacka, and then there is also an office in Barkarby. that is run by me, and also this one in Bro, north of Stockholm. And we also have one office in Enköping, which is close to Stockholm, and also one in Uppsala, which is basically the Stockholm region, you can say.
So do you charge any fee? Is there any fee?
No, because since we are a provider for Arbetsförmedlingen, people who get help from us, they don't pay anything, because everything is paid for by the state agency, and we get our money when we help people find a job. When they have found a job and they have kept that job for a while, that's when we. So it's very important for us that we find a job, not only find a contract, but it also has to be a sustainable, something that people can keep for.
So it means if someone is registered with the Arbetsförmedling, a jobless person, then he comes to you, and then you try to find a job, search job for him.
Yes, that's
it's very good help, I think. So so the many people from coming from the other European countries, or even some other students, so they don't know. So we
have a lot of people from all different backgrounds. We have people from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from Syria, obviously, because a lot of people have come to Sweden during the last couple of years from these countries, and also from Eritrea, some African countries, and all over the world. And we also help people who have their background in Sweden, who are born here, or Swedish people as well.
I understand. So which type of jobs are most common in Sweden? Easy to get a job?
I think it has become more and more difficult in Sweden to find a job without some kind of education. Obviously, some people come to Sweden and they have a high education background. And especially, in certain areas like IT and branches that require high qualifications, those people tend to find a job without registering with us. So most people that come to us are those that are in need of extra help with finding a job, and usually the fields that are it's basically fields that require less qualifications. For example, the restaurant branch is one that was more common maybe before the pandemics, and now after the pandemics. But a lot of people want to work within warehouse jobs because they usually have better contracts and also higher pay, and they also don't require much more than physical ability and basic understanding of the job. So those types of jobs are more common, and we have a lot of women that maybe has not worked before in their country, and they are many of them are interested in working in preschools and schools and places like that, and then we try to help them find a job within everyone. It's very individual.
Exactly. But if highly qualified people living in the other countries and they are interested to get a job in Sweden, for example, IT engineers and other professionals, so how they can find a job in Sweden if they are living in other countries, if they are not living in Sweden?
Yes, I would say it depends a lot, because I know that some Swedish companies, they have a shortage of people with knowledge in some fields, and it's very difficult to speak generally, but if we are going to speak in general terms, the higher education you have, the more specific education you have, the more you can be sought after in Sweden on the job market, and the easier it can be for you. But if you don't have that high level of education, usually it's very difficult to move to Sweden just to work here, because we have a high unemployment, and the most affected fields are those that are for low qualified jobs.
What is the minimum salary in Sweden for any job?
It depends on field. I don't think we have like a set. Different fields have different union rules that are that decide what the minimum
salary should be. But
some
I read
companies are
somewhere
not.
maybe 13,500, or what is the? What do you think?
I think it is. Like I said, it depends on the field. But I think the lowest paying jobs are somewhere there. But you know, the union rules. They are usually based on how old the person is and how much they have worked before and so on. So it's a lot of aspects that have to.
So what is the normal procedure here to find a job in Sweden? So
my recommendation for everyone who moves to Sweden is to basically to register with Arbetsförmedlingen, which is the state employment office, because you can get a lot of help through them. For example, being sent to one of the companies like our company, then we can do an individual plan for that person.
Exactly.
So that is my recommendation. Also, you get into the system if you register with us, Arbetsförmedlingen. That's a very important thing, because once you're in the Swedish system, you can. You get a lot of benefits and support and so on. Because I've noticed that a lot, some people, they don't get into the system, and they usually find jobs within fields that are maybe not not that.
Mostly the people coming from other countries, they rely on their private sources instead of the state. You mean so they should come to the state agency, Arbetsförmedling, and then, but to register with the Arbetsförmedling, so I think they must have this person number.
Yes, that's correct.
And if some have the coordination number, can
then you can different rules apply, and we don't really work with those, so it's difficult for me to give tips for those people, because like you said, to be able to register with Arbetsförmedlingen, you have to have personnummer. Okay. And you have to have,
So if someone have the EU blue card permanent visa in other European countries like this Spain, Italy, or Greece, so when they come to Sweden, so they can also get help from Arbetsförmedlingen from you? I
don't really know the procedure there, but we have had people like that, and usually they have to wait until they get their Swedish personnummer, even if they have been in other European countries before.
Okay, so to get a job in Sweden, I think this to write a letter, a CV, and reference, they are very important. So what are your recommendations or advice? How
my best advice, one can give a lot of advices, but my first and most important advice is to I always say to people that put yourself into the employer's shoes, because when you do that, then you will maybe know what they will be looking after. For example, when you write a CV, imagine yourself being an employer, and what would you be looking for in a CV, and in the qualifications of that person. So imagine you're a boss and you're recruiting people. What are you going to be looking for? If you do that, then it's easier for you to understand maybe how to write your CV, what the most important things are to add to that CV, and so on. I think that's like a general tips.
General thing, but there is another, I think, mostly the procedure to write a reference. So you give one or two reference when you apply for the job. But if someone is a newcomer in Sweden, don't have the reference, so how he can get help, or can he write the reference his friends or other colleagues? So what will you advise?
A lot of people, a lot of jobs today don't require references, and because we have a lot of people that through us they get the first job in Sweden. Usually for them we recommend, if they need to add something, you can also choose, like, for example, if you have studied here in Sweden, you can choose your teacher as a reference, or other people that you have been in contact with authorities or professionally in one way or another. And if you don't have, then obviously you say that I have maybe references from people I've worked with before I came to Sweden. And
some say that the trainee position or the practic, as we say in Swedish, so it's also a way to get a job. So do you also help, or what do you recommend for people if someone is jobless and don't get a job? So try for some trainee position.
Yeah, that's an alternative, and most companies. It also depends on the field that they're looking for. But most companies, they do the internship and praktik through Arbetsförmedlingen, because then they will automatically be insured and so on. So a lot of people. A lot of companies, they prefer to go that way, but I know that some big companies, for example, within IT and engineers and so on, they have special internships.
Yeah, they have
special programs that is run by them.
Yeah.
And in that case, they usually put them out on their website and so on. But you can also always get in contact directly with those companies. One aspect that for those who are registered here is we always try to tell them that ask what the opportunities will be for you after you have done your practice, so you know that what the next step will be.
Exactly.
And you can have a practice just because you want to take the first step within that field and so on. But I know that a lot of people on long term want to find a job at the place where they do the internship, and that is something that is good to mention to the employer, so that they are so you have an agreement that if I do a good job during the internship, I'm also able to get an employment after I finish the period.
Yeah. In Sweden, some people are long times unemployed, and there are, I think, some special help. So what type of help Arbetsförmedlingen or this good job your company provide them for?
So we usually help them with to effective be more efficient in basically in their job search. Some people, they do simple mistakes that render for them to not being they're not able to take the next step in the recruitment process because they say the wrong things during the interview, or they have different mistakes on their CV and so on. So we help with that process to be more efficient, to get your best version of yourself during the interview process and so on. But Arbetsförmedlingen, one good thing is that the longer you have been out of a job, the more the company that wants to hire you, the more help they can get from Arbetsförmedlingen when it comes to subsidizing your salary. Okay. So you will basically be cheaper for the company that wants to hire you the longer you have been out of a job.
Yeah.
And
if someone can't speak Swedish well, but can maybe communicate in English or some other European language, so is there some jobs which are offered for those people who can't speak Swedish?
Yeah, I mean, I know that, I think that everyone who has been in Sweden or who have lived here, they know that a lot of people, they speak English, and that also applies to the job market, that a lot of jobs obviously require Swedish. Most jobs require Swedish, but you can also find a lot of job opportunities where the minimum requirement is good English or basic Swedish.
No.
So it's not impossible to find a job without knowing the Swedish language. You can have good opportunities also with the knowledge in the English language.
Now I'll ask for a question for the students. Many students from Pakistan, India, and other countries, they come here for the higher education. They come for the international masters, and during that masters, they wanted to also have a job. So how they can get help from your office or employment office, or how they can get a job in Sweden while studying or part-time some jobs? What are your findings?
That group is usually not registered here with us, but I can just say in general terms, it's very good to try to get in the Swedish societies, because a lot of people in Sweden, they get jobs through contacts. And my personal view is that a lot of people who come here in Sweden, they to study, for example, they find themselves in a bubble with other students and so on. They don't really get into the Swedish society. And to take that step will get you a lot in contact with a lot of people, and through that you can more easily find a job. If you're not just gonna call different companies or visit different workplaces. And
previously I know some people coming from other countries, and they were claiming that there is some type of discrimination. They based on religion or culture, and some people I remember they change their names. For example, if they are Muslims, so they change other name. So what do you think, is there in Swedish job market this type of hidden discrimination is there?
Maybe there is, but I don't. Even if there is, it's very difficult to say there is or there isn't. But I think that a lot of people feel that there is. But me myself, I'm a Muslim, and I wasn't born here. I was born in Iraq, and my own experience is that don't think too much about that. Do your best of the situation anyway. You will find, as in in every country, not here in Sweden, you will find people who will help you positively, and you will find those who won't. But I don't think there is any need of changing your name and so on. Like I said, I think in general Swedish people are very open. Once you have gotten into their bubble, and that is why I'm saying that don't try to get into the society.
Inside, exactly.
Because
integration is important.
Once you are there, you will find that Swedish people are very open, very nice, and they like very much.
They respect others' religions, cultures. I do have many Swedish friends, and they understand these things. So I do agree with you. At the end, if you wanted to say something important to the people coming to Sweden or living in Sweden, wanted to have a job or anything which we have not discussed here. So at the end, if you wanted to say something more, so please do it.
I cannot think of anything in particular, but the only thing I can say is that Sweden is a country of great opportunities if you seize them. So it's very important to do your best of the situation when you come here, not to keep yourself in that bubble. Get out of the bubble. Try to find try to get in contact with people in Sweden. Because one thing usually leads to another.
Exactly. Thank you very much for your precious time, and you have replied very important.
I hope I've been to some kind of.
I think the viewers will get the benefit, especially the people coming to Sweden or living in Sweden. They will definitely get the benefit of this interview, and if they want to have a more help, or if they wanted to know more about this job market, so they can contact to the Guljobit. Here is their website, and they will definitely help you. So thank you very much for watching this interview.
Thank you.
जैसा कि आपने इस इंटरव्यू में मुलाज़ा किया, स्वीडन में जॉब के हवाले से जो आज हमारी यहाँ पे गुफ्तगू हुई है इस एम्प्लॉयमेंट ऑफिस में, तो उन्होंने यही बताया है कि स्वीडन में जो लोग आते हैं, जो बेरोज़गार हैं या जो यहाँ पे रह रहे हैं, वो यहाँ का जो सरकारी दफ्तर है आरबिस फॉर बिल्डिंग, वहाँ पे जब वो रजिस्टर हो जाते हैं, उसके बाद उनको मज़ीद जो हेल्प की ज़रूरत होती है, तो ये उनका जो इदारा है, ये प्राइवेट दफ्तर रोज़गार है, ये आर्बिस फॉर मिडलिंग के साथ ही मिलकर काम करता है, लेकिन ये ज़्यादा दिलचस्पी से उनके लिए जॉब तलाश करता है, उनको इंटरव्यू की तैयारी करवाता है, उनके लिए मुकम्मल तौर पे जो है वो सहूलतें मुहैया करता है, और इसके लिए आपको किसी किस्म की फ़ी नहीं देना होती, क्योंकि ये हुकूमत ही जो है वो इनके तमाम अखराजात देती है। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि जो लोग स्वीडन में रह रहे हैं वो जॉब हासिल करना चाहते हैं, तो उनके लिए सबसे पहले इन्होंने यही बताया कि उनको जो है वो सिर्फ़ अपने जो प्राइवेट कॉन्टैक्ट्स उन पर डिपेंड नहीं करना चाहिए, उनको आर्बिस फॉर मिडलिंग में रजिस्टर हो के और जो स्वीडिश जॉब मार्केट है इसकी तरफ आना चाहिए, और अपने कॉन्टैक्ट्स जो हैं वो बढ़ाने चाहिए, अपना जो CV आप लिख रहे हैं वो अच्छे तरीके से होना चाहिए ताकि आप अच्छे तरीके से अपने आप को प्रेजेंट कर सकें। और फिर यहाँ पे जो मुख्तलिफ जॉब्स हैं उसके हवाले भी से भी उन्होंने बताया। तो अगर आपको इस हवाले से मज़ीद तफसील की ज़रूरत होगी या आप मालूमात चाहेंगे तो आप इनसे ख़ुद रब्ता भी कर सकते हैं। तो मुझे उम्मीद है कि ये जो आज का जो इंटरव्यू है आप लोगों के लिए काफ़ी मुफीद होगा। इस बारे में अपनी राय से ज़रूर आगाह कीजिए, और अगर आप ये चाहते हैं कि आपके किसी जानने वाले को मालूमात की ज़रूरत है तो उनसे ज़रूर शेयर कीजिए। मुझे इजाज़त दीजिए। खुदा हाफिज़।